Hi, I'm Evelyn.
Hi, I'm Chloe.
Welcome to the Nest.
We hope you stay a while.
So today we are joined by Angie and Mohammed for this episode. So tell us a bit about yourself.
Hello, my name is Angie. I'm an intern at Eagle Scholars and I go to the University of Texas at Dallas. I'm currently a rising senior majoring in public affairs and minoring in child development, and I'm really excited to be here on the podcast with you guys.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Faisal. I'm a senior at the School for the Talented and Gifted at Townview, and I'm interested in majoring biology, and I'm really excited to meet you guys.
All right, so we are back with another special episode. What makes this episode so special is it is a ESU takeover episode. As you can see, we have a different host. So everybody, welcome Evelyn as your main host today. And today's topic will be societal beauty standards. Throughout years of history, women and sometimes men have become prey to mostly toxic beauty standards.
Now we're gonna move on to one of our main sections. Is we asked some of our fellow scholars to anonymously share their stories and experiments within the topic of society beauty standards, and we will share some of these questions through our new segments. Hashtag Speaking from the Heart. This is a new segment that we have. So Chloe, if you would read us some of the stories that were on the Padlet.
So for the first story we have, someone said, I've always felt insecure about my body because of stretch marks, weight, and body hair. It's always been so hard to feel beautiful enough when I constantly see skinny, perfect girls on social media. And another person said, I sometimes may wish I could be Simone, Piper, Eliana, and Emily. They are all famous YouTubers and TikTokers. And someone else said, when I was in middle school, I was mocked for having very thick eyebrows. I had a unibrow, and for most of middle school students would make fun of me. It's funny how now eyebrows are the trend. And we get that a lot with mostly older beauty standards. Like a lot of times you get made fun of for something, and then all of a sudden now it becomes a trend, which is so weird. But yeah, you're kind of just sitting there like, wow.
Okay.
And someone else said, I felt like I was always compared to my older sister as a kid, who I thought was prettier and skinnier than me. My family would always point out how I was chubby and how chubby my cheeks were, and how I need to not eat so much sweets or else I would get fat. And also we see a lot of that because I feel like if someone else in your family looks a certain way, then they're gonna always compare you to them, They're gonna be like, how come you don't look like them, And it's already bad enough because they compare you in other ways too. They're like, oh, how come you're not as smart as this person? Or how come you're not? So it just kind of makes you feel like you're inferior to them.
Exactly. And you know what? Just let them say whatever they want. Eat as much as you want, because it's better than not eating anything. And even if it's your own family, cares about yourself. And our guests, do you guys have anything to say to that comment too? Anyone? Angie, Mohammed, do you guys have anything to say?
I guess I would have to speak on that when, because I sort of share that same experience when I grew up as a kid. I was constantly compared to my older sister and all that stuff, and it was not fun. But I've matured a lot. I grew up and I grew out of that whole mindset, and like Evelyn said, if they say those things about me, I just sort of brush it off my shoulder. Whatever they say isn't a reflection of my worth and whatnot.
Yeah, definitely, because I feel like a lot of the times the things, the most hurtful things is the stuff that comes out of people that are supposed to love you, that comes out of their mouths, because you're supposed to be here for me, you're supposed to come to me and be somebody that I can confide in and somebody that I can turn to support me always. And so when you're not doing that, it's just dang, you're supposed to be here for me, And so the last comment that someone said is, I've always felt like I'm not beautiful enough. I'm not skinny enough or don't have the physical features that are considered to be attractive. I'm constantly seeing skinny, pale girls be complimented, constantly seeing skinny, pale girls to be complimented has caused my young self to feel less than. And I can understand that because like a lot of the times when you see that in social media and you see that just in real life, it can kind of cause you to feel a certain way, to feel like, oh, I'm not that, so I'm less than. But that's not the case. Everyone out here, if you're watching the episode and you wrote that in the Padlet or anything, all the other confessions that y'all wrote, we want to say that you are beautiful no matter what. And don't let what anybody else looks like or what anybody else says affect your self-worth, you know? Just believe that you're beautiful and it's true. But yeah.
Yes. So kind of want to add to what Chloe has says is like, even if your features are not considered as attractive in the like the media or society, just know that you are pretty in your own way and everyone is unique. Like, you know, these days you will see like models that have like unique features that, you know, that people would never consider as beautiful, but now like they made it on like big magazines and everything is like, you have to tell yourself that my features are attractive. I am attractive. Just because, you know, some people don't compliment me does not mean I'm not beautiful. Like, you're beautiful on the inside and out. Don't let the, you know, anyone ruin that for you, because like you have to build yourself first in order to think of yourself like, oh, I'm pretty. Like, you know, advice is, you know, look yourself in the mirror every single morning. I do this. Don't mind me. I do this a lot. Is I tell myself, I'm beautiful. I'm amazing. You know, I'm worth. Like, I'm worth it. Even if someone tell me I'm not worth it, I'm worth it. I learned this trick, looking myself in the mirror, telling myself I'm awesome, from Dr. Janet. So shout out to Dr. Janet for that. She built my confidence. Yeah. Anyone else like to say something about it?
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I just really like how Evelyn has like she has like these self affirmations like every morning, and I just think that's like so wonderful. And like I definitely do agree when you say that it comes from within, and it really starts from your own inner mindset, because like every single day there's so many things, so many comments are bombarding you, and obviously you can control how you interpret and how you react to those comments, those really mean and sensitive kinds of comments. You know, you can't control what they say to you, you can't control how they treat you and all that stuff, but what you can control is how you react to it. And you can say, you can believe them, that's your choice, but at the same time you can think like, wait a minute, no, they're wrong. I am beautiful and I am great and I am worth love and respect. And if people aren't going to give me those things, then they don't have to be in my life, you know?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, adding on to what Angie has said, I totally agree. People will continue to say whatever they want to say, and they do have the right to have an opinion, but all opinions shouldn't matter to you. If it's an opinion that's putting you down, you shouldn't worry about that opinion. Yes, it's sometimes difficult when it's coming to someone who's very close, but at the end of the day, it is about you and it is about improving yourself every day. So another thing is social media. Whatever social media shows, all these models, all this everything, you don't know the process of becoming a model. You don't know things that they have to go through, even if you want to say surgical procedures, right? So do not ever try to look someone and tell yourself that you want to become like them. Instead, be yourself and be grateful for what you have, and being able to know the difference between confidence and arrogance. Also, you know, having the confidence and not really like always trying to like put your opinion on someone else, saying that, yeah, you look bad, you look good. And also, you know, knowing yourself, understanding yourself enough to tell yourself that it is your opinions about you that matters, and not someone else, not what someone else thinks.
Yeah, definitely, especially that last part, because I feel like everyone gets so caught up in what somebody else's opinion is about them and not about, they don't really stop to think, what do I think about myself, you know? So you get so lost in what other people are telling you or what other people are saying about you that you don't realize that, oh, what do I think about myself? I think I'm beautiful. And so it shouldn't really matter if somebody else thinks you're beautiful or if someone else thinks you're handsome or not, because you think you're beautiful or handsome. But yeah. So moving on to our next segment. So this is the discussion that we have. So for the first question we have, what is your experience with beauty standards? Evelyn?
Okay, starting from me, I would say my experience with beauty standards is very rough, because as a young kid, I have a lot of family members and people tell me that like, if you keep eating when you grow up, no one's gonna like you, or like, no one's gonna want you or anything like that. And also like seeing actors on, TVs or, models, or everything like that. Growing up, like, there was not a lot of like people of color, POC representations that I felt like, oh, I have to be like, have blonde hair, blue eyes, in order to be considered beautiful. And I have to be skinny too, and which is a bit rough. And like it's just very rough for me to kind of like say stuff about like beauty standards sometimes, like especially because all my family are always like telling me this and that, but like I don't really let it get to me, because I'm just like, whatever they say, I don't really care, because I'm gonna make my own beauty standards to myself. And like everything is beautiful, everyone is beautiful and handsome and pretty, you all are just worth it, like just to let you know that, just to put it out there. And so yeah, that has been my experience with beauty standard. What about you, Angie?
For me personally, my experience with beauty standards have been a little rough, because I'm Vietnamese American, and of course I live in America, so I had to grow up with Western beauty standards, but I also had to grow up with Eastern Asian beauty standards as well, which is so crazy because like Vietnam isn't even a part of East Asia. It's technically Southeast Asian, but like that's a whole other issue with like, because Asia is so diverse, it's incredibly diverse, but then it has like such a small definition of beauty as well. But when it comes to living in America as a Southeast Asian woman, it's really hard, because like American beauty standards values like tan skin, like beautiful hair, big eyes, big lips, small noses. But then on the other side of things, like Southeast Asian beauty standards, they value pale skin and like long hair, like, and like there's some similarities and some differences, but then it's just so hard to stand in between the two. You have to find like a way to balance them, but at the same time, do you have to fit in them? Like, no, of course you don't. And then like for my personal life, like at home, like my parents would always make comments on my body and my weight and all that stuff, and it would be so like casual, and it would be like part of my daily life. So they weren't mean technically, but they would just say like, you should lose weight, or you shouldn't eat so much food. And then now that I'm like pretty confident in my body, they're like, why are you so skinny? Like you should eat more. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, should I eat more or should I eat less? Like, where's the balance between the two? So it's very hypocritical, and I think I've just learned how to deal with that. But yeah, that's basically my experience. What about you, Chloe?
With my experience, I really feel like with beauty standards, a lot of the times it came from social media or like out of the mouths of friends or something like that. I really like my family or my friends, and they would always tell me, oh, like make little sly comments, like you said, that are supposed to seem harmless. they'll be like, oh, maybe you shouldn't have this, or maybe you shouldn't have that. You don't need this. Like when I try to have an extra plate or try to get a sweet after I eat, and they make little sly comments that aren't supposed to be mean necessarily, but they don't really realize how much that affects you on the inside, you know?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
oh,
Do you have anything more to say, Chloe?
no.
What about you, Mohammed?
For me, I did have a lot of personal experience regarding standard beauty, but more of what I had is seeing the society around me, growing up and having a family from Southeast. Well, I always grew up in Asia, but coming from Southeast Asia, there are certain standard beauty that the people from there looks for. And one thing to say, also gender play a lot of role in the standard beauty as well. And speaking from the society I was in, they don't necessarily um, put a lot of force on males based for standard beauty, but a lot more on females. So a lot of females, almost all females, goes through the insecurity of all these standard beauties that are placed on them. So for example, having a darker skin is bad, right? Having a darker skin mean you're just unlucky. That mean you're not, that's what the society say, that you're not gonna end up marrying a rich guy or a beautiful handsome man, right? So and then they would try to use all these sort of beauty supplies, right, to kind of lighten up themselves, and they fall into this thing, that this mindset that they have to be lighter in order to be, I guess, superior than one another, right? When in reality, color shouldn't be a problem. Color shouldn't be a problem in any sort of problem, right? It shouldn't be a matter to a problem. So things like that happened a lot around me. Even when my parents talk about, sometimes they would talk about becoming, like, I guess you can say, in-law parents and grandparents, they would always say, make sure you marry a beautiful woman, right? And to them, an African American woman or a black woman wouldn't necessarily be beautiful. I don't think it would be, right? But it is something that is not true, right? So having like that kind of a standard beauty has been like something that I've grown up with. It's a society that really need to change their mindset on how they looks at beauty, right? Beauty is really not from color, rather what someone brings up to the table and what they're able to do with the life that they have been given. um and so with that all being said, um I do, as I'm growing up, I do believe that although people opinion doesn't matter, you should have a good understanding of your life. Let's say someone is commenting bad stuff about you having a big lips. Can you do anything about it? No, you can't, right? So you don't worry about it. But let's say no one else is making a comment on your weight because they don't want you to feel down, but you are not actually healthy with the weight you have. So you have to take health into considerations as well, right? Being a 900-pound is not necessarily healthy, and also being a 10-pound is not necessarily also healthy. So life is about balance, and you need that balance regardless of people, whether they're saying you're skinny or fat. It shouldn't matter to you as long as you know that you have a healthy life balance and you're happy with the way you are, right? So for me, for example, let's say I want to be around 140 pounds, but I'm not there yet. I'm skinny, right? So not necessarily skinny, but I want to gain a little more weight and be there because I feel like that's my healthy. So every different person have a different weight balance, right? For someone else, it wouldn't be that. So finding that I guess weight or anything, I think balance is really important, and health should come first rather than any sort of beauty standard, right? You shouldn't be vomiting every day to become skinny, right? You shouldn't be eating every day to gain fat just because someone is telling you. So balance is important.
I definitely agree with what Muhammad was saying because, like, when we're talking about beauty standards, it's really easy um, to only talk about one side of the whole issue. But then again, there is the other side where, like, all the bad parts of like this body positivity movement, where we're shedding, or at least where, like what Muhammad was saying, it is very important to value your health above all, because a lot of people are going under like incredibly dangerous procedures to fit like an unrealistic beauty standard. People are getting into horrible eating disorders just to be skinny. But then again, people are also maintaining really unhealthy habits, like unhealthy eating habits, unhealthy lifestyle habits, because people have told them that like you're beautiful and your body is just fine, and that is true. Whatever people are saying, like you are worth love and you are worth respect. But then again, you need to think about your actual physical health. And I think a lot of health professionals would say that being overweight and being obese, but at the same time being underweight, is not healthy at all. And we all, again, have our own individual like definitions of health. We're all very different people, obviously, and each person has their own healthy body and healthy like body conditions or whatever, and we need to fit that criteria, and not the criteria of what social media shows and what movies and the internet shows and whatnot.
Yep, that's I guess to put it in a very short way, love your body. Yes, definitely. Whether it is 1,000 pounds, whether it is a 50 pound, love your body, but love your body enough to care about your body, right? And not necessarily uh, putting yourself into um, this big whole jar of what others' opinions are, right? So care about your body and live your life in a way that you want to, and not what somebody else want you to.
Yeah, I agree with that. Okay, now moving on to the next questions. What comes to mind when you think about the word like ideal or beauty standards? What do you guys think of that, Mohammed?
Well, to me, when somebody say ideal, and when somebody say like the ideal beauty standard or the ideal body shape, well, there is, the ideal should be your potential. It shouldn't be someone else's, right? It shouldn't be, yeah, my ideal body, it should be like that person. No, it shouldn't be that. It should be, my ideal body is what I can achieve with my body, and where I can put my body to a healthy place where I'm feeling good, I'm not feeling too bad, and I also love my body, right? So people would say their ideal body is about someone's like, I guess, a celebrities. But to me, when ideals come to mind, I don't think of any celebrities. I don't think of any actors or actress or models. I think about myself in the next 10 years. How do I want to look, right? How do I want to feel about my body, right? How It's not about really how you want to look like someone. Is more about how you want to present yourself to other people. So, for example, I'm really into fitness. Doesn't mean I want to have, I guess, 500 pounds of muscle like other bodybuilders. No, I just want to have a good body that I feel healthy about and that I feel good about, right? So that's my plan. When I talk about ideal, it's about me in the next 10 years. It's always about me chasing my future me, not chasing somebody else.
I think that is really important. Like, that is a really important mindset to keep, because a lot of times we get misconstrued by other elements of the world, like society and social media, that we forget that we're supposed to be chasing something that is attainable for us. For example, when women go and get plastic surgery and they're telling these girls that, oh, because like when you think of ideal beauty standards, a lot of times you think of what is on social media, the curvier hips, the bigger breasts, the everything like that. And then you see these women going on social media advertising this, making it seem like they were naturally born with this, and in reality they're getting surgeries to alter their body to look like this. It's misconstruing young girls that are supposed to be chasing their ideal look that is that is attainable for them, but instead they're trying to chase these body standards that are like not realistic for young girls, because no young girl is going to come out looking like that, especially naturally, you know, and especially when these grown women are getting surgeries to look like this. So there's no way that a young girl is going to look like that naturally, especially when they always try to advertise working out, and they're always trying to say they got that body by working out. And so they're having these young girls and these older women too going out and working out and getting mad that they don't have that type of body, when in reality that is not attainable at all through working out, you know? And so I really feel like that's important, to keep that mindset of your own, to say, I'm chasing the ideal me. I'm not chasing the ideal version of me that's created by Kim Kardashian, or that's supposed to look like this person. No, you're chasing what you're going to look like you said, in 10 years, what you're going to look like. And you don't even have to look that far. You can say, in the next month, maybe I want to lose some weight so I can do this, or maybe I want to get stronger so I can be better at this sport, or just because you want to do it because you personally feel like you should do this. That is fine. But when you let other people influence what you want to look like, then that's when it becomes toxic, because you're always chasing this, and you're never, like, it's kind of like you're kind of being teased because you're never going to get it, you know?
Yeah, I agree with you. Hold on, before I say anything, if you guys notice, Angie's not here because her internet went down. So for now it will be 3 of us until if the power come back at her house, she will be able to come back. But yeah, let me answer the question. For me, what comes to mind when I think of ideal and beauty standards is, you know, like all these like models are like the ideal and the beauty standards that the society has set. Like, for example, like the Kardashians and, you know, the Jenners and, you know, like all these famous models like Hailey Beavers and you know, like all these women are beautiful in their own way, but like if you guys watch this one video of, you know, how Kim was trying to fit in that small like suits, or, you know, outfit like that, she took off like one of her
really? Yeah.
It was that was very disturbing. I was very shocked, because I was like, that is way too far. And also with ideal and beauty standard, it is different for, you know, different communities. It's different. For example, like, you know, like for Hispanics, it's like, you know, some of them have like a lot of curves, and, you know, like they're very beautiful in their own way. But like there are some beauty standards in their community, you know, some people can't, you know, like reach or have, and then which kind of become toxic. And then for me, like Asian communities, like in the whole Asian community, including the East and the South, it's like, what I say, everyone is like always like, oh, they expect us to look more like East Asians, but then they forgot that South Asians exist, and, you know, like in Southeast Asian exists too. Like there are other Asian people who has more darker skin tones, and, you know, like how do I say, features that are not part of, like, you know, the East Asians that like people think, because people think all Asians look alike, which is like, you know, if you don't look like East Asians, you are not considered as Asian. And then, you know, there's the Black community where, you know, you have to have like I don't know how to speak from, you know, like a Black person point of view, but Chloe, you can contribute to this.
Really, I feel like the biggest thing with the Black community is we face a lot of colorism because of the representation that we do get of Black women. And it happens in the same thing with every single culture, because it's like with Asian people, they face a lot of times they feel like they have to have lighter skin because that's what's shown in media. That's what's shown in traditional media, like movies and shows and magazines and stuff like that. it's like they feel that they have to look like that because that's the only media, that's the only person that's being represented in television. That's the only people that is being put out there. And so it's like, if we get more representation of different shades of Black women, of different shades of Asian women, of different shades of Black men, different shades of Asian women, Asian men, sorry, I'm struggling. But if we get that different representation, then that's when I feel like society will really begin to break that norm of having a standard for someone to look like, and just to be able to accept what everybody looks like, you know? And so I really feel like, yeah, those beauty standards that are like kind of specific to culture, like for the Black community personally, like the looser, curlier hair is considered more prettier, especially if it's longer. And the having the lighter skin, having less Black features, even though, you know, we're African Americans, so we're supposed to have Black features. It's like the more closer you get to European beauty standards with the smaller noses, but at the same time, they want us to keep our big lips, the things that white people made popular, you know, because it wasn't popular until it was seen on other women, because before it was seen as ghetto or ratchet, but now it's seen as beautiful because you've seen Kim Kardashian wearing braids, or because you've seen Kim Kardashian and Kylie Jenner with bigger lips, because you've seen these other women with bigger hips. And it's like, oh, it's pretty on them. But then when you come to look at Black women, it's like, oh, it's not pretty. But then at the same time, I just feel like it shouldn't matter what other people are saying about, oh, like, I don't know. I feel like we're really getting lost in, I feel like we're getting too caught up in beauty standards nowadays, you know? And especially with the popularization of social media, definitely.
I totally agree with that. And also, like, you know, like with the Hispanic community, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm not speaking, you know, because I'm not Hispanic, so I don't know what the beauty standard is there. But I do know that some of the standards that, you know, my friend has told me, like, is toxic. It's like very toxic, because, like, you know, if you gain weight, it's like, you know, this is with, you know, every community. Like, if you gain weight, like, you know, people will start commenting on it and like have opinion on it. I mean, like, sometimes don't even listen to them, because some people just have some unnecessary things to say. So, like, yeah, like, that's how I feel.
Yeah, just to add on to that, here's why I want to tell you, being yourself is very important. This world is big and it has over 7 billion people, but there is only one person who looks like you, and it is you. And do you see how much unique you are? So when you are that unique, why don't try to be yourself rather than trying to be someone else's, right? And the reason I'm different than Evelyn, the reason I'm different from Chloe, it's because of where I'm from and what is my genetics, right? So every person has their potential, and every person has their genetic limits. And my genetic limits and my genetic potential is not the same as Evelyn's, and is not the same as Chloe, right? So because of that, we cannot try to be like someone else's, because it won't just happen unless you do some very, very unhealthy, disturbing procedures, right? And doing that means you are characterless, and you don't appreciate, and you're not grateful of how you're made. So I want to really, I want to inspire you to be yourself, because being yourself is one of the greatest things you can do, because it shows that you're proud to be unique, right? So work with what you have and stop worrying about what the social media is showing. It's very disturbing how the world is very changing a lot, but educating yourself to understand that this life is all about you rather than looking like someone else's.
Yeah, I definitely agree. So moving on to the next question, we're going to move on to what did you know that social media and social changes are constantly helping shift beauty standards every day? And so Evelyn, would you like to answer?
Yes, you can totally see how, you know, like the social medias and, you know, the society has constantly, shift like beauty standards. Like, for example, because, these days, like, TikTok is very famous. I know everyone in here at least uses TikTok. So as you know, like, there are a lot of, like, beauty that is put out there, and also like body positivities for women's and men's too. Like, like, everyone has, a beauty standards that is put onto them. But like these days, TikTok has been very open-minded when it comes to, like, talking about body positivities and everything. And like a lot of people are starting to accept themselves and accept who they are as a person, and what they look like, because some people don't feel beautiful. And then, but now it's like there are some creators out there, big creators out there, who tries to help with these beauty standards and say, like, we don't care about this beauty standard no more. Like, we don't care, like, we're gonna set our own beauty standards. We're beautiful in our own way. Like, don't let anything get in your way of you feeling beautiful. Even if it's a family member, like, don't listen to them. It's like, you are who you are. So yeah, like, I have seen that. What about you, Mohammed?
Yes, I do agree a lot with you, and since I also do follow a lot of like health influencers and stuff like that, there's the two different sides still exist. There's still this side trying to show you that how you can achieve some these unrealistic things, but there's also this side, which side is really growing nowadays, and and this side is really about telling you how to be yourself, and that being yourself is enough, right? You don't have to be someone else's. So I do see this positivity growing, and especially in the I guess what do you say, LGBTQ communities as well, because they are showing a different standard, right? Their beauty are not necessarily the same as let's say the straight male and straight female beauty. They have a different beauties, and people, although there's also a bad side, the good side, the side that is really growing, is accepting that kind of beauty, and it's sometimes it feels good seeing that, but also we have to keep in mind that there's also this other side that we're trying to ultimately get rid of. And if, like Evelyn said, big creators are trying to spread positivities and about being yourself, if we continue to do that, the bad side, I believe, will eventually fade away. Not entirely, because that is just impossible. You can't stop people, but I think it will be we will have a much more healthy and friendly environment if we start to influence other people. You don't have to be a big creator. You can tell yourself, your family, your friends, right? And start from there. And if you keep spreading that positivity of accepting yourself, of being yourself, I think the world can have a very different way of living.
I definitely agree. And also, as I've been on social media more and more, like Evelyn had said about the body positivity movement spreading, you constantly see people becoming more comfortable with their body, and you start seeing media being put out that is teaching people to accept, and that is giving more representation to the people. For example, how the Fenty show, how Fenty Beauty just in general has been reaching out to different things. Like, for example, Rihanna's makeup line, it has a huge range of skin tones, which has never been done before, really, because there's a lot of skin tones in there that almost anybody, if you go to buy that foundation, you will find your skin tone. And then also there's, with her lingerie line, she's putting multiple people in the spotlight. Like, she has disabled models, she has different skin tones, different things like that, and that's really important, different body shapes. And so really you can see representation of yourself and them, and so you're like, oh, well, they're pretty, I'm pretty too, we're all pretty together. And so it's just like, I really like that representation is coming out, because now people feel like they can embrace themselves now, their natural self, instead of having to hide behind these toxic beauty standards and having to hide behind what these people are telling them to be, and then having to do these risky things like different procedures, starving yourself, different things like that, and the things that develop really bad eating disorders and different things, and that really affects your health negatively. And so I really feel like the beauty standards are starting to change, especially with social media and just the social changes in general. Like this, for example, we're sparking a conversation, and many more people are sparking conversations. And so when this conversation is brought into the light, that really helps bring light towards what we need to stop doing and what we need to start doing. But yeah.
Okay, so the next questions that we have on this discussion part is, what is a surprising or shocking beauty standard you have seen or heard? Mohammed, would you like to start off?
Yes. Don't really know how to go about with this question, but you have to kind of see the difference between beauty standards and culture, right? You don't necessarily want to destroy a culture because it's a culture, it's something unique, right? So different places have different cultures and beauty standard are two different things. So I've seen many different interesting culture, but in terms of beauty standard, one thing that was really shocking to me, although I guess you can say that beauty standards come from culture, but beauty standards are not like the real traditions, right? Real culture is something that they want to do to be superior than other. That's what beauty is, right? So one of the things that I've seen, I think it was last year, I was studying world history, and I came across the study of China and the dynasty and everything. And one thing that really was shocking to me was that women back in the days, not anymore, which is really good to hear, back in the days would wrap their foot around over and over and over and over until it becomes really tiny so they can fit into very small shoes. And to them, it was a beauty standard. Although it's kind of a tradition, you can say it's a Chinese traditions, I don't think it's a traditions that is healthy, right? And that is one of the reasons why they no longer do that, right? Because they understood it is very important to understand what is healthy and what is not healthy, even if it is your traditions. They understood that making your leg this tiny and like I guess disforming all the bones just to fit in little shoes so you can have a beauty standard, you can fit in the beauty standard, because those who didn't do it, they were called ugly, right? So I wouldn't say that is a tradition, because you're calling somebody who don't do it ugly, and you're calling somebody beautiful who do it, right? So it's one of the things that was really shocking that I saw, and it was really interesting.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And then to this day, you see things that are kind of similar to that. Like when everyone just brought up that Kim Kardashian took out a rib. This is allegedly, but like it's been spreading around a lot that she took out a rib to fit into a dress. And then also you see on social media when they are bringing up these topics into light, such as eating disorders, a lot of times girls go on TikTok talking about eating disorders and kind of glorifying it in a way, or kind of making it seem like it's normal when it's not. In reality, it's something that should not be happening. And so they go in and they're like, oh, I do this, I'm starving myself, blah, blah, blah. Or for example, like it's, to me, it's like, why would you want to risk your health for that? You know, to be so skinny, to be like, and it's, I've seen girls to the point from they're struggling with anorexia, and I've seen girls to the point where their ribs are showing, and that's not okay, because it's like, to me, it's like, I don't know, I don't like seeing other people hurt themselves just to fit in, you know? And it really hurts me to see it, because it's like, dang, if anyone that I was close to was in that situation, I would be so scared for them. And I'm so scared because they're making this so popular, you know? And they're trying to make it seem like it's normal when it's not. But yeah. What about you, Evelyn?
Yes, I totally agree with you, Chloe. For me, a shocking beauty standard. I don't think this is totally like kind of like a not like a beauty standard, but as we all know, Asian baiting slash Asian fishing is kind of common these days. And so basically what it is that there are some people who are not Asian are trying to look like how, you know, most Asian people look. Like, for example, you know, like small eyes, you know, some people have small eyes and everything. And like people would do this like sometimes on TikTok. I will see on TikTok and I would be shocked because at first when you look at them, they look like Asian, but then I went to like their other videos and I saw that they're not Asian. It shocks me because growing up, it's like everyone always, you know, make fun of me for my small eyes, or, you know, like for me being Asians, or, you know, anything like that. And now that is like, it is very common because, you know, K-pop and, you know, like K-pop, K-dramas, you know, a lot of dramas, you know, Asian dramas and, you know, Asian musics, and, you know, are very popular these days. And also animes are very popular these days, that, you know, people are trying to look like, you know, their favorite characters and everything like that. But like while doing that, some people like, so it's basically like cosplaying. Like some people when they do cosplaying and everything like that is like sometimes they will do Asian fishing without their like without them acknowledging that they were kind of look like Asian people, even if they were, you know, trying to, you know, like, how would I say,
without having the intention to, you know, like they're not intending. They don't wake up and say, "Oh, I'm trying to look like an Asian person." They're not intending to do that. But sometimes with the makeup, it can be misleading when you're trying to make your eyes look more smaller, when you're using tape to have Asian features. When in reality, you can do those things without having to look Asian. There are so many people, like for example, the Black cosplaying community. You don't see them going and painting their skin a paler complexion to fit into that certain character. They just go and put on the character's clothes and do their hair like the character and keep it pushing. So you shouldn't be trying to alter your features to try and look like that character if you're trying to embody that character. And the same thing goes with Halloween costumes, because then also along with Asian fishing, you have Black fishing too, where people will paint their skin darker colors to like be a Halloween character, or to pretend that they're Black for whatever reason they wanted to. Because like a lot of women and men have been being exposed for pretending to be Black, which is so weird to me, because it's like, why would you want to pretend to be another culture? And it all goes back to what Muhammad was saying about being yourself, accepting yourself, you know? So you should accept your own culture instead of trying to hide behind someone else's, you know?
Yeah. Adding on to that, I would say learning different cultures can be really fun and interesting. Yes, it is totally fine for you to learn different cultures. I love learning cultures, but you don't have to assimilate, right? You don't have to try to look like them. You don't have to try to be like them, talk like them, right? Let's say, for example, if I'm trying to learn Spanish, if I'm trying to learn Spanish and learn their cultures, I will learn it to gain knowledge and to know about them. I wouldn't necessarily go and be like them. And every time if people ask where you're from or who I am, I wouldn't necessarily try to act like I'm a Spanish person, right? Because I stayed true to who I am, and I stayed true to where I come from and what I represent and where I belong, right? So it is very important to know that either whether you are a minority person or whether you are not, and whether you come from a small culture or a big culture, whether your culture is not what people knows about or not, it is very important for you to stand for your own culture. It is very important to stand for your own beliefs that you have, rather than trying to assimilate and trying to go be like different cultures just for you to stand out. Because a lot of people does it for fame, a lot of people does it for recognitions, but it is not necessary. Being yourself and doing things that makes you happy, standing true to who you are and showing who you are, instead of trying to be like and adapt to a different, well, not adapt, but be like, pretending like to be a different culture. Instead of doing that, try to expose your culture, right? Try to represent your culture, share your culture with people. So yeah, there is a big difference between trying to pretend and be like there's a difference between that and trying to learn and grow your knowledge about the world and culture.
I definitely agree with that. But yeah, so for our last question we have, what do you think about society's acceptance to these beauty standards? So, Evelyn, what do you think?
Like society these days are trying hard to accept some standards, that are not like traditional beauty standards. Like, for example, having a bigger body, which is like, a lot of people are trying to accept it. There are some people who are like, that is not beautiful, or, anything, having this, opinion on it. But, most of the society are trying to accept all this stuff. But, I think they're kind of being accepting, but also some are like still in the middle, like, I don't know if this should be a beauty standard. So yeah, I do kind of think, society has tried to accept beauty standards, a lot of beauty standards, but yeah, that's my conclusion. What about you, Mohan?
I feel the same. The way you feel. I think the world is starting to understand that it is very important for somebody to be themselves and not to pretend. Imagine you're not a doctor and you're pretending to be a doctor and then going to do a surgery. It is going to be the world gonna explode, right? So the fact that people around us starting to see that it is okay to be different. It is okay to be that one person who doesn't look the same in the room, right? It is okay that he's wearing that. It is okay that she's wearing that. It is okay that her eyes look like that. His mouth look like that, right? So the fact that people are starting to accept the way that somebody is, I think it is very something. I guess something very happy to see, and also. It is also about who you surround yourself with. If you always surround yourself with people who will judge you, you will not necessarily see that kind of stuff, even though there are people who won't judge. But it depends on who you are surrounding with, and the effort that you put in trying to spread that positivity about accepting however somebody is looking, right? So it is great to see that a lot of social media influencers and creator are showing that, because huge fans, because a lot of people follows them. So a lot of people like to, like, if you follow someone, if you love someone, you're likely to take their opinion into considerations and do things that they talk about. And so seeing big people, seeing influencer doing sharing good things, sharing positive stuff, and then inspiring young people, inspiring the rest of the world, in shaping the world in a good way, it's very happy to see.
Yeah, I definitely agree with what both of y'all said. Y'all kind of took all the words out of my mouth. But just to sum it up shortly, I really think that society is really starting to understand that beauty standards are toxic and beauty standards are not what's up. So it's like, the more we start to see these celebrities come out and start, instead of supporting beauty standards, they're supporting body positivity and other things like that. And I start seeing more people starting to love themselves and everyone opening up this conversation that allows people to be confident within themselves, like platforms like our own who are promoting body positivity and promoting self-confidence and self-love is really what's important and what's really going to help change what society thinks is beautiful. They're probably, by the time in the future, we're probably not going to have a stigma that is considered quote unquote beautiful and not beautiful. It's just going to be everyone's beautiful in their own way, And really, I think that's what's really important. But yeah.
Yes, and that was our last questions, and that would conclude today's episode. Thank you, Mohammed, for joining us. Thank you very much, and Angie too. We love you, Angie. Thank you for joining us for a short moment.
Thank you so much for having us.
And make sure to check out the resources in the description box to continue this conversation about society's beauty standards. Subscribe and turn on our post notifications so that you never miss when we upload.
Make sure to tune in for next time.
And until next time, remember that if you're not going to speak up, how is the world supposed to know you exist? Bye.
Bye, everyone.